All right, here's an unforeseen debunk. I had somebody response to me and try to debunk me. He says, response to Neptune's Lagoon trying to debunk an educated video. Well, that's what mine are too. So what's up with that? How could they be contrasting? Well, we'll look into it and what he might think versus what I can show what reality is. Let's see if that works out good for him. He has 25 subscribers. So he about nothing. I don't know how many videos he's put out himself. He's got an incredible bad accent. He put this out on September 8th and he only got 12 views on it. 3 are downvoted, so 1/4 of the people are not in approval. But of course, something that's going to try to debunk me or anything Eurocentric has got to be POW, and I'll bet you a lot of these are multiple count things and stuff. Let's see who's down here. I've got to mention, he says, Neptune's Alone tries to debunk everybody hates Angel. The problem with this is that he actually believes he put down these bad Negro liars. No, it doesn't work that way, man. I don't know. Hey, okay, so, oh my God, he's racist. No, I'm not racist. I like some black people, so it's not all. Bam, that ends that right there. I just don't like this lying and trying to say they were part of the Bible and they were part of Egypt and things. That was kind of forced by black people getting on my videos where I describe where the Bible and things like that came from, and they were like, we was Bibles and all of that crap, and he'll agree totally that that's BS while he says this and stuff. But while he says that it's BS, we've got Strafus Jank, the guy that trolls my site and says, oh, we was Kangs. He actually says this. Finally, someone debunks this ooga booga Wyhte scientific data. So apparently he might be the same guy because he can't spell with exactly like he can't spell with. That's funny. This channel needs to get more popular. Yeah, it's just real bad. I did tell him, doing a reply to your idiocy now, if you want to go here, then you will regret it. And so at the end of this, he says he's doing part 2. I make fun of Strankish Janky, the Ooga Booga Negroid, and he's mad because his ass got told while he trolled repeatedly. Watch him try to say he doesn't remember. Oh, but I've got it taped. I've got one recorded of it. Yeah, I've started recording some of these guys, and just every once in a while I might let one out as a joke. It's like, look at this guy. He went mad, crazy idiot and posted 33 individual sentences on every single post on my site like he knew something. And then while everybody debunked him, he went over here and said it again on this other thread like he was all brand new. And he kept doing that over and over again. It's hilarious. I've got about 5 of them already saved up. And then this Valeria Vito, Neptune's baboon is a fraud. Why would some black person try to use the name baboon against a Caucasian? That's disgusting. So I just told him, who's a baboon? Yip yip. He does talk here that at 2:17 he wanted to say, I've never seen Everyone Hates Angel do an Afrocentric history. I want to mention that. I do so. But here's what I said to him. I mentioned that, and I didn't want to do a vid where he only has like 2 lies or some twisted truth in it. So I avoided all this. Someone asked me to debunk him, and I said, he's not that bad or wild with lies. It's not like Radio 1 or any of those guys or people that challenged me. So, you know, man, I want to do Near Eastern videos. I'm not about debunking Negroids, but they keep shoving it on me. And then crap like this makes me do another 1 or 2 or 3, idiot. And so I'll keep going with it. But I made a video to correct some modern interpretations, and he tried to apply it before the slave trade. So he's out of timeline whenever he's talking during the video, and I point it out, and then I show knowledge that shows you the difference of that. Also, I say Caucasian during the video 47 times. No, it's more than that probably. Hell, I don't know an exact count. And your sad ass keeps explaining, yes, but they're not white Nordic types, as if I was ever implying that they were pale Scandinavians or something. I'm Irish, and I'm pretty damn dark, and this is pretty foolish of you to try, but... And Arabs are Caucasians, and I mentioned this, and he goes, "Oh, well, yeah, they're Caucasians, but they're not Scandinavian whites." And I was like, nobody says that Arabs are Scandinavian whites, although they were a lot more whitish before they got their admixed for the slave trade that they hold on. What is it, 22 to 38% is the average on them? Yeah, and then there's some Negroid types that they were involved with that are mulattoed out too real bad, like the Fulani that helped with the Islamic slave trade. But they weren't North African Negroes for a long time, and then they started being ones that were attacking primitives and getting them for slavery. But that's Islamic slave trade. That didn't have anything to do with Caucasians, did? Oh wait, they are Caucasians. Oh wait, how are you gonna? No, okay, but it wasn't whites. See, what's funny about these Negroids, no matter what, I say the Egyptians were Caucasians, and they go, they were not whites. And I go, the Egyptians were Caucasians. And they go, they were whites. And I go, they were Caucasians. And they keep throwing this fit. And, of course, I keep saying also they weren't Negroids, and West African primitives didn't even know that it existed. And so it just dies and decays, and then they start throwing fits. And I didn't say that they were whites, but there's some interesting things I could point out that would show you that they are much more like whites, like their genetics shows. Yeah, the genetics of them shows that they've got early European hunter-gatherers and farmers and Anatolian farmers hooked up to them, and people that were apparently of the Natufian group, and the Badarians and Akkad that are there that started off, and that's not Negroids at all. In fact, Ginger in the British Museum is a blonde-haired, pale leucoderm mummy. Well noted. Blonde, curly hair. Yeah, and it's not some freaky process. They're positive of it. Regardless of color on hair, you can just look at it in a microscope and tell what's what. And even blends, they try to predict if they find somebody with frizzier hair or something like that. But let's get into this, because I don't want to talk before he even starts making a fool of himself. So what's he got to say?
Hello there, Superiorita here. Today I wanted to do a response video. This is a video from Neptune's Lagoon. You all know him, yeah, for his completely irrational videos.
I don't have any irrational videos. I use rational thought processes and logic and stuff I've studied for, I keep saying 35 years, but it's getting close to 50 now. If you want to go from the exact point of origin I became interested in, and if you want to know and add up just the time that I studied out of all of it, we can still legally say 35 years.
About fantasy and yeah, we was Kangs.
Yeah.
Negrocentric, we was Kangs.
Yeah, I make fun of the we was Kangs and stuff, and that's all that my videos that are like this are about, is rejecting those notions out of history that people keep interjecting. And every once in a while they'll do a video and they'll go la 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 lie la lie la 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 lie lie lie, and I'll do a video that goes nope, see this, nope, see that, and how could it be if this was in effect? And it just kind of destroys it. And a lot of people try to take what's going on now in North Africa and say that's what was going on always, and it doesn't have any truth to it whatsoever. And I've proven that about 8 videos now in different ways and aspects. And who are Ethiopians of the Greeks and the people that define the word and everything. But let's go.
Yeah, we was Kangs. Negrocentric, we was Kangs. And he tried to, I seen this video before, he tried to debunk, to debunk everyone hates Angel. Yeah, it's an old video made by Everybody Hates Angel. It's a channel of an African American, a very good guy. So we're gonna react to this video. Yeah, we said before that Nort Africans are not Negroes, but they are not Caucasian either. They are
What did he just say? He just threw that N-word straight-faced in there, and they're gonna get on the side and go, yeah, go against, what did you just say? Some of these Arabic type people can't keep from it coming out their mouth, and they still call him Ibid to this day and things, but it's going to get hilarious. Oh, I'm sorry about the quality of the sound, because he's got an incredibly bad accent. Bad mic, too, and as if I had a bad mic to begin with. Or it just doesn't come in as popping clear. You have to turn me up. But you notice how I record off of the screen, and he recorded off the screen, and I'm doing it again now, so it's probably ginchy as hell. But yeah, let's go with this idea.
Native Africans, and they all came from the macro group E, that is from Africa, not from Caucasus. So
Haplogroup E has been seen to have a Middle Eastern origin, where it spreads out and it's subclads and things. And 7 Phoenician 7, who's way into genetics more than I am, and an Egyptologist, has made that clear very many times, and how much, and then these subclabs they mention, and where U comes from and where different ones come from and where they go from. And she's in the middle of making a video about every separate subgroup of Negroids around there and how much admix they have from what had happened in more recent times, for they weren't there in ancient times, just as I've said.
No matter how much they insist, but North Africans are not white. Some
Caucasians, idiot, and there are some that are white. Libyans are pretty much considered white. Look at them, and Muammar Gaddafi and stuff, but you can tell there's an Arabic thing that happened to them, and it gives them a touch of their admix with it too. But you can look at the Amazigh, yeah, and the Berbers and stuff, and see that they have a whole lot of Caucasians that don't even look admixed at all there. And the one that wins, Miss Amazigh, and I did a video on her and stuff. It's not worth really going to unless he keeps yapping, but he will yap. Let's see what he can do about debunking my debunk.
of them are mixed with white because of the populations that migrated, the consistent colonization of North Africa, or maybe, as I said, for the Barbers of Electric. I read a comment also saying it. So let's react to
Yeah, he's gonna interrupt me more than I interrupt videos, and if you think that's slightly annoying, he gets really annoying too. So I realize that now. I'm gonna have to start slacking on that. It's just I always feel like when they say something, I need to interject. Sometimes they say 3-4 things in one little stretch and won't shut up. So that's why I feel like I have to interject, because I interject and go, nope. It'd almost be better, but it'd make it longer if I let them say the whole sentence and then go, let's hear that again, and I did it, and then stop them and say, and stop them and say. But that seems so complicated, and talk about an editing nightmare. But let's go with this idea, but understand the fact that Caucasians were all around the Mediterranean, and there's not like a stopping point, like a wall or a big old huge Sahara Desert anywhere keeping them from going right into the Nile Delta and up that river and onward and all the way around North Africa. And it makes so much sense whenever you say it just like that, because it happened just like that. And Phoenicians and Carthaginians, what's called the Tamahu, that are on the other side of Libyans, which Libya is all of North Africa at that time, and the Egypt was in this section, but everything else was considered pretty much Libya. Its way is described in a way it shows in Herodotus's maps and all the old maps of that day. So they believe pretty much it was people like Libyans in that area, but they make declamations of them like Lotophages and these different people and stuff. And there's even Ethiopians in this one area. But if you look at what the Greeks say about Ethiopians and everything, it shows you the fact that they're really talking about farmers, and it meant sunburnt faces, and that doesn't have anything to do with Negroids. And the problem I'm having is sub-Saharan West African recent primitives that were in the slave trade are claiming all of these things, and even North Africa, and their genetics don't even match up to it. Not even after the Bantu expansion and things. Yeah, it gets covered up and muddied and things like that, and people have looked at the genetics of it and tried to figure it out, and it's a giant mess, because blacks were capturing each other and enslaving each other and raping each other and things, and so you get these weird mixes. And then after a while, that woman that was winning apparently lost, and some of these little tribes got lost forever, and other ones broke in too, and it happens again and kept happening. There's no unity whatsoever. Let's go with what he's got to say, though.
React to this video, or at least a part of it, because it's 45 minutes. So
Yeah, I go extensive when I do a video.
Okay, we're gonna do one
Probably too
here
long, but
on
I want to make my
Everybody
points.
Loves Angle. It's a site that tries to do Afrocentric history, and the reason he put
Yeah, first of all, I never seen Everybody Hates Angel do Eurocentric history. He just teaches, yeah, you know, the some history, some black history that is never.
And I mentioned that I watched some of his videos and I didn't think it's really worth doing and stuff. And then somebody said, "Well, check this one out. He's trying to claim North Africa is the way it is now." Then, and I go, "Okay, yeah, okay." So I did a video about it, and this guy wants to be a gimp and come in and try to say something.
Teach it in school, like the inventions, the black inventions that, of course, white nationalists don't want to hear.
No, we want to hear about all African history. We've got a whole African History Month and everything goes on. We try to cater to them and prop them up as much as possible. You have no idea what you're talking about. It's all about affirmative action and propping them up and everything and giving them extra grades in school and towards getting in college and everything. Everybody gets a discount and they get a magic push and everything, and it's all trying to get them to at least get somewhere. But it's real hard to match up to the spacemen whenever you're recent primitives, and then you go around and start claiming that you were part of their Bible. No, it was your Bible. No, I was Egyptian. I was this, I was that. And it's like, you were West African primitives. They didn't know any of it existed. Please stop. And we keep getting this kind of thing. But he's going to try to debunk me in some way, like, okay, well, no. Well, North Africa wasn't the way it is now then in any way, shape, or form. And it got warped into the way that it is now. And you're not going to try to make that a lie in any way, shape, or form. And I'll stop it. And I did. And you're going to try to, and I'm going to show it again.
his name is Everybody Hates Angel is sometimes he tells the truth. And I've actually seen 4 or 5 of these has been correct.
I guess he tells the truth.
So you're just cutting in like that. I said, yeah, I've seen 4 or 5 of them. And he cuts in every damn time. Like me. Yeah, I've seen 4 or 5 of them, and I didn't see no problem with it, so I blew it off till a guy pointed this one out to me and said he's claiming North Africa, just like I said, but he can't even let a sentence go. Imagine trying to talk to him, he would try to talk over me. I'd end up having to slap his ass, and then we'd go crazy. So there's no talking to people that act like this. That's why it's better to do videos and just slap them in the ground, because you ever try to have a conversation with a black person, they won't let you get 2 words out before they start talking over you.
When it's something you want to hear.
And found enough truth in it and very few lies, enough to where I don't want to do a 30-minute video on the fact that he lies twice out of all of the video. You could either just edit out the lie and have a 4-minute video, or whatever. I guess I could ramble and show you stuff, but it never seemed worthwhile. But this one is definitely worthwhile.
So it was never worthwhile for me. I've been directed to look at him a few times. By the way, I was forced into do this. What I do make is revealing videos about the Bible, ancient religions, symbolism, going all the way back to Göbekli Tepe and reaching past 22,000 BC. Reality of the way things happened in the last ice age and coming out of it and stuff. That's what my site's about. Whenever negrocentrics came on and started doing their yap and challenging me and calling me some pig-skinned ape albino negro, that we came from them and they taught me how to bathe, and then challenged me and gave me 36 things I had to do, which turned into 38, to prove to them or they were going to believe it, So I made a couple of quick videos, and I think the 3rd or 4th one I hit them with the idea West African primitives didn't even know it existed, and here's genetics that show it doesn't even work out. And I had a couple of them balk right then, and then even one of the big yap guys that still trolls to this day said, yeah, well, West African primitives, yeah, they didn't know it existed, but some black people somewhere were part of Egypt. And it's like, okay, so I've showed a bunch of videos where it, earliest, middle, late, no. These people, oh, well, this one's black. Okay, well, she's related to this one and this one. Are you going to call them black? Shut up, Wyhte. And then he starts showing all these pictures, and he always clips and pastes. Anytime he gets a rant going, he decides to put 22 posts out of all these little things that he's come up with. Even now, this is this other guy, Squats. He came out with a video too that was funny. It was called Sub-Saharan African History, and then he proceeds to show a bunch of Egypt and Eastern, Northeastern, non-Sub-Saharan video through the whole damn thing. I think after that he tried to edit and do something about it, but I even made a video about it. It's like hilarious. You don't even show a picture of sub-Saharan Africa and primitives or nothing, do you? It's because you don't want to talk about that. You want to say we was these other people. It's disgusting and a lie. You weren't them.
Ask the question or putting it out there. Are North Africans black, white, or Arab? As if Arabs.
Like we said, North Africans are native Africans. They came from the Afro group E that they originated in the Horn of Africa, or nobody knows the Horn of Africa.
No, not nobody knows. They damn well figured it out, and it happens in Eurasia and splits into subclads, and some of them have a back to Africa movement. And what's that? That means they were there, and some were still there, and then they went out. And some of it changed, and they could see the genetics when it comes back in, even though it's Caucasians on Caucasians, and deviates the genetic signature coming back to Africa. See, like they say everybody comes out of Africa. Well, if Caucasians came out and they were right there, aren't they all the way around the Mediterranean and everything? Yeah, aren't you looking foolish about now? No, you probably don't think so, but people with minds know so. We're going.
Or North Africa, that are the two options. There's no Caucasus in there.
No, they are Caucasians. I said, now watch, he's going to reveal the fact that he's made himself an idiot. I said, are they black or white and everything? And I said, oh, they're Caucasians all over North Africa. And then he goes, oh, they're not white. He keeps trying to throw that in there like, oh, they're not a Nordic. But there are people that look like me right there in that area right now. Some with blue eyes still. Green eyes.
Caucasians.
Caucasians.
This is his first problem, but later in the video he mentions that they are Caucasians. So there's this big blur.
Yeah, some North Africans today are Caucasians, of course.
Yeah.
There are some Caucasian North Africans because as I said of the mixing that happened during time.
Yep. I make clear opening distinction. Well, not what everybody calls whites today or tries to say that, but they're not even white. Look at my arm. I'm not like the background of this screen. In fact, all those white arms, every arm you see out of there, it doesn't show in this picture. There's only one black person. All those are white people. Well, why are some of them darker and lighter? We tan. It's incredible. It's that magic adaptable melanin. But apparently he doesn't know that either, and he doesn't see people that tan or beach boys or professional golfers or just anything, lifeguards.
A lot of times
rednecks
on my videos and stuff, and blacks, they're like it wasn't Caucasians, it was Arabs, and it was like, what race are the Arabs? Are they Mongol?
The Arabs are Caucasian, but they are not white. Caucasian doesn't mean white.
And he acts like he's telling me something, whenever that's just what I said. This is going to be pretty pathetic if he thinks he's debunking me by actually saying what I said and then giggling.
Not longer of much do you insist, but Caucasians, yeah, whites are Caucasians, but Caucasians doesn't mean white. Sorry, that's not.
Yeah, I guess I would go with that one right there. Not all Caucasians are whites, because really India is listed as Caucasians, but it's a Denisovan blend, but it's a Caucasian phenotype. And even all the blacks that are up in Ethiopia, or what we call today Ethiopia, which used to be Abyssinia, are considered to have more of a Caucasoid phenotype nowadays. But there used to be Caucasians all the way through the Horn of Africa, and you can look up Caucasian race and see that. We might even do that here in just a second. I don't want to cut back and forth a bunch of times and make this monotonous for y'all or anything, although it is in his accent and so on. But yeah, so I keep saying Caucasians, and he keeps arguing that they aren't whites. And I'm not telling you they were Vikings or Nordic Scandinavians. I'm telling you they're Caucasians. And every time it happens with black people, I say Caucasians, and they say whites. And I say Caucasians, and they say they ain't whites. And I say they weren't Negroids. And then they get all mad and up and down.
So that's just not true.
I didn't say it was.
Negroid, American, Amerindian, or Oriental, what are they? Right, and so they are Caucasians, huh? But the Arabs, of course.
They are not. Yeah, the majority of North Africans are not Caucasian. The migration don't change it that much the population of North Africa. Uh, Most of the Berbers are still native North Africans, so they are.
And they're Caucasians. There's a lot of Berbers and Tuaregs that are admixed and stuff nowadays, but there's a lot that are still Caucasians. And the demographic have changed since the slave trade. And if you're naive enough with that accent to not know what happened with the Islamic slave trade, or you're trying to play off that that isn't what caused this, then you're naive or ignorant.
Not mixed with Caucasian at all.
Yes, mixing with Caucasian.
Ottomans and stuff that live in Egypt now weren't the people that were living there in elder times. And by the same token, the people that were living in North Africa in elder times isn't much like it is today. Just like you see a lot of black people all up in Europe now, and we.
By saying that North Africa's not the same, we don't see this big Carthaginian Phoenician outpost in 3 or 4 places, and we're these people that were called the Lotophages that were all some kind of Buddhist colony crap. That were all staying high and eating lotuses and doing some sacred things, and they were seers and diviners and stuff, and we don't see a group that's doing that so much anymore. You go in that same place today and there are Arabs there that want to draw on you with henna and crap, and that goes all the way across and through Morocco. I've been there.
You know for a fact that wasn't going on until just recently. There's some black people in the Americas.
I don't think so. Check. I mean, blacks are today becoming a great minority group with many people. So, yeah, of course, there is an increase of black people in.
Don't say an increase of black people. There were no black people in Europe, and now there are some there. Well, in way ancient times, there were no black people in North Africa above the Sahara. The only ones that the Egyptians ever talked about or ran into were the Nubians, a Nilotic type. They're tar black, real lanky looking people. And now they're even more admixed than they used to be in ancient days. In fact, there's a Nubian A colony, a Nubian C, and then what we have today is totally different. Well, he probably doesn't know this. He doesn't check into anything. He just wants to talk and try to say, I'm thinking something wrong, but he has no idea what I know and what I'm thinking about ancient times. So to quit saying today and now and today and now, and I'm saying North Africa didn't used to be like it is today. There are a lot of differences with like a bunch of Arabic people that are all through Mesopotamia and up through the Levant area that didn't used to be there. That happened, you know, and then the Crusades and everything. People, if you don't know history, then don't talk about it and try to berate somebody that does. It looks stupid to people that kind of know. Let's go.
In Europe, but there were some black people also in ancient history. During
No, there weren't. Where are they?
in the colonization of Britain, the Romans sent there black soldiers. So this is history.
If it's one of the 3 things I debunked, no. It's they recently found, and it's advertised, the oldest black person that was ever found in Europe, and it predates the other by about 150 years, and they found it in some old parish graveyard. Yeah, and it's not marked as a Negroid, I don't think, or anything. Whenever they found, and they're moving the graveyard to do whatever, and they run into it, they go, "Wow, this is a black person. How could that be?" And it's hundreds of years after what you're talking about. But let's go.
You know, black Americans, but those were from the slave trade.
West
It
African.
happened a long time ago, but they weren't there before. But they do try to claim to be Amerindians. They try to claim Olmec.
Yeah, he's talking here about Afrocentrist.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm not Afrocentrist. I know the blacks were not Amerindians, but we were Olmecs.
No. Blacks weren't Olmecs. There seems to be a blend from the thing that you still try to claim as Negroid, which is Aboriginals, like the Australians, and that, but it's a cross, like they had some admix of it, rather than being the regular islanders. But what's weird is it shows up almost none, and as it carries through into Hawaii and everything, you don't see it so much, and there's Samoan type people and stuff. and so it got nowhere. But they say that's what makes their hair slightly frizzy from that part in Tahiti and Samoa, which I haven't even done a good video on yet because it's not really that important. And it doesn't go with all my ancient lore until I go to Polynesia and talk about things like Easter Island. But I've done one on that, and I didn't have to go through the whole thing. And I did one on the Moana story and didn't have to go through the whole thing. But I did talk about Maui and how it stretches all the way across to these people that were connected, that were going from island to island. And they aren't white people. No, well, look at them. And Australia got there somehow. Black people never had a boat, and they didn't do these things that they keep claiming, and that's what this is about. And then he said we, so he must be black, even though he claims Santorini and some type of Spanish.
There were a mixture of black and Olmecs people. Olmecs were a population mixed with Native Americans, so Amerindians and Negroids. So most sculptures, art of Olmecs show that. So we can.
Man, I could put it in right here, but I've got a debunk on it, and it's actually off somebody else that's on here too and everything. And if you just put in Black Olmecs debunked, you'll see this head that looks like it, and this other guy next to it that's a fat-ish faced kind of South American, and he looks very Aztec-y and stuff and everything, and his picture's right beside him. But they actually cut it in half and put it on there, and then flip from half and half, half and half. And you go, wow, that matches up as you're watching it. And then it goes fast, 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 boom. And you can tell, oh, he matches up real good. And it doesn't, no, that's not a Negroid person at all. Oh, well, the genetics said they had this little mix. Yeah, genetics had a little mix. There's a lot of people that have some little mix right now, but you wouldn't call them a Negroid. Like Arabic people we're talking about. They have this admix that's quite strong, but they don't even look Negroid at all. They just have darker features and don't have light hair generally, or light eyes and things like that. And telling the truth,
we can also confirm that Olmecs were definitely at least partially Negroid, and
at least partially Negroid. Yeah, it's the Caucasian science and DNA and everything that they've taught you and put out there, and that's the reason you know it. Yeah, and so it's kind of funny that you try to use that against us and then lie, at least partially. Well, no, and they're not even really listed as being Negroid. It looks more Malaysian, or there might have been a cross in that crossed with the Malaysians, and then they took off on the boat again. It wasn't Negroids doing it, but see, the problem I fight is that they heard that they have this low amount, less than Neanderthals and Caucasians, which they like to hop up and down around, a 1 to 4%. They've got their own ghost hominid. Yeah, but it's a hominid. Oh, and they're the only people on the planet that don't have Neanderthal DNA. Those Australian Aborigines, they have Neanderthal DNA. Those island people I just talked about, and even Hawaiians, they've got that Neanderthal DNA. So it happened when, and you can trace it off of things that happen like that. And somebody got left out of something and has their own little deal. It makes them somewhat different. And the definition of human was made by Caucasians, and whatever Caucasians end up, that's human. If you want to call somebody something else, that's the way that goes, and not the other way. And blacks don't predate anybody whatsoever. Let's continue.
Amerindian. But of course I don't agree with the fact that every Amerindian was black. That's just Afrocentric, so I'm away from that.
And he puts it, it's weird, he puts, and I don't believe that every Amerindian was black. And the answer is, none of them were black. The Olmecs show some admix from not a Negroid thing, but a different deal, and you're still trying to equate it. So there's another debunk on you and that whole fact again. Let's continue, see something else stupid he goes with. This has been gone.
We're trying to claim Egyptians, which he will do here in shortly in a minute.
Egyptians, we know they were Negroid in the south until the New Kingdom, and in the north there was a mixture of Caucasians. Yes, but
okay, so he's saying that in the north and the delta they were a mix of Caucasians and not Negroid. but they were a mix of Caucasians and blacks in the southern part of it, that it was all separated. I'm fixing to show you that's not true and their origins, but I just want to let him hang himself.
As we said before, Caucasian doesn't mean white, so you don't belong to any of the people. Like,
that's funny. The genetics shows that it works up into Anatolia, Europe, and early European hunter-gatherer and farmers that still have the haplogroups that even matched up to King Tut, and they just did all of those mummies, over 100 of them, but they got 90 of them they got DNA out of, and they go from the Middle Kingdom on, and they were expecting to see all this change and perhaps see Negroid DNA starting out and then come out of it and all the changes. So, oh, here's the Persians, oh, here's an Akkadian, oh, here's the Greeks, ah, here's the Romans and Cleopatra, and be able to see the thing happen because it was used all the way through it. The remarkable thing, it didn't change at all, and their haplogroups show up to be Anatolian and European farmers and hunter-gatherers. Isn't that amazing? And they only have a 1% match with the current local population. Isn't that amazing too? But I'm going to show you something here now. Let's see. So what we look at, so if you know, they weren't Caucasians is what he's trying to get at. Well, I'm just going to look up Caucasian race. Now, I've done this a bunch here recently, and I keep having to do it again because they don't know that I know this. They think they're brand new. So we can see here that we're talking about Europe, right? And that's on the top of the Mediterranean. But do they go all the way around? Well, they go into Western Asia, so yeah, they go all the way around the Levant. Does it stop right there with the blue like it looks? Well, no, wait for it, because we're going to go up the Black Sea and all the way to the area of China and up in Russia and stuff. But where else? Well, South Asia. Well, where's South Asia? Well, oh, it doesn't show it, but that goes into India and stuff. And then North Africa. Caucasian race in North Africa. Does it show any breaks there or have any difference that says not Negroid or not Caucasian, Negroid? No, it doesn't. And it's all above the Sahara right there, locked in. And these black people that are claiming it are from way down there. And even worse, we see the Horn of Africa, and you can see that it's listed there too, where Ethiopians were supposedly in elder times. But he also talks about the microbians there that are tall, white people that are long-lived and stuff. People want to dismiss that one, and they want to dismiss little things and pick little things out. And then after you say it to somebody, they think that's the way it is. And then they get on people's videos that know what goes on and went on, and then they like to talk crap. So we're going to look at something else here. We're going to go from Caucasian race. Let's see. Let's go to Ethiopia. This is Ethiopia of the Greeks. And they mention them all in the Iliad and the Odyssey and everywhere. And so it doesn't mean those people up in that area that used to be called Abyssinia. For if we look at the map, and I know if y'all have been watching my videos, you've seen this before. And so if we go to the map, then you can see there's all these brown areas, and that's where all they describe Ethiopians. And it's the end of every river valley, and it's basically rednecks and farmers. And these are all Caucasians, and everybody that's on this map is Caucasians, and they don't describe a Negroid whatsoever at this time, and they don't even show you sub-Saharan Africa exists. There's those microbians. They draw the Nile incorrectly because it was Stanley and Dr. Livingstone, I presume, that figured out the source of the Nile. Negroids didn't even know, even their guides. But Meroe is named after Persian Cambyses' sister. Yeah, and the Kandake princess, as they talk about, is the name for a Candace, a Persian queen. But worse yet, they show the Nile, and it comes over here into the Atlas Mountains. If you don't think it has to do with Caucasians and stuff in this area, Atlas, Greek god, holds up the sky, da-da-da. Atlantis, which is supposed to have been, I don't know, the eye of the Sahara right near here, about exactly where I'm pointing. Well, really, it's about the A or the S, right in there somewhere. And Carthage and Cyrene and all these places in between, and what was Libya. And see, it's called Libya. Yeah, and Caucasians named that, and then later they named it Africa too. So it's going on that way. But let's do something else. Let's look at ancient Egyptians, and one way to simply do that is to do what I do on all these videos whenever somebody goes yapping, is I type in blue-eyed Egyptians. into any search of Bing or Google. And because I've done Bing so many times, I'm going to do Google. I'm going to do Bing because I do Google so often. And so we can look here and you can see the blue eyes, crystal eyes of this 5th dynasty Caucasian Egyptian in the earliest of dynasties. And there's a group of them right there, and they all have these strange crystal eyes that they only used up to the 12th dynasty, and then in Nefertiti herself, and she's got a blue eye. Like you can see it right there. Blue eye. Horaha, blue eyes. Now Horus has blue eyes because it even says it in tomb inscriptions. I knit upon the head of the blue-eyed Horus, the god who acts. But better yet, that eye that they show, it's called Wyhte. What does that mean? That Wyhte is blue in Egyptian. Oh snap. Now they found a lot of those sculptures had this special Egyptian blue on their eyes as a paint, and you can't really see it, but if you turn off the lights and use a black light on it, it glows. Their eyes glow blue. It's wicked as hell on a lot of them. Not all, but that doesn't mean they're Negroids. So these are the earliest dynasty. This is the 6th dynasty, but this is from the Naqada period, and they have blue eyes, and this is part of what made up the beginning Egyptians. And you can see all these blue eyes here, and the scribes, and their crystal eyes that follow you around the room. Isn't that amazing how they look so real? Yeah, but that's a crystal eye. I've done a couple of videos about it. Blue eyes even on some of the statuary and stuff and everything too, but dolls and things too. But better yet, even Egyptian mummies have blonde hair and red hair, and all their hair that they find on all of them are Caucasian and not Negroid hair. They really only have one mummy ever buried in the cemetery that's a Negroid, and it was King Tut's castrated eunuch fan bearer named Menekapari. But they sometimes try to describe him as a high official, but then it shows him fanning King Tut from behind, and they say his name on the wall. So it really straightens that out. But it was supposed to be like that George Washington Carver made peanut butter lie that's supposed to make blacks feel better about themselves. So whenever you see somebody that looks like this, that would have looked a whole lot more like an ancient Egyptian. And I know that's small, and I shouldn't have gone to Bing. That's why I quit going to Bing. But the Sumerians have these blue eyes and things too. And it's something you rarely find. I've got this girl in the video. There's a green eye that's wicked. Here's a blue eye, but there's one of those Berbers right there. There's one of those Berbers I'm talking about. The amaze eye, if you will. Yeah, little girl. Uh-huh. So, and there's a whole lot of them. It's not like, oh, they found one Caucasian. In America, black people want to believe that Africa was only Negroids, no white people, all the way to the Delta, and then they waved across the river at black people. That's not the way that it went at all. And this lady right here is a Coptic, and she looks like an English farm lady. And the genetics hooked up to it also. And if you have any question, you know, you just simply can look at things like Isis and see what a pale goddess she is, and no fret. Here at the 5th dynasty, they have the earliest ones and reserve heads and everything, and it doesn't have anything to do with black people whatsoever. In fact, the Negroids around there, called Nubians, weren't even allowed in by decree. And they had a price out for their head, which was really their right hand. And if it was worth more than actually a live one. And I've got a few more down here too, but I'm going to wait. I may even do this into part 2 because we're about to go to part 2. So let me just go back to his thing and see if he's got, oh, where was it? Seriously. And that's how many things I have open. And it goes that far on the left and that far on the right. So what more things does he have to try to yap about like I don't know what I'm talking about?
Arabs are Caucasian, but they are not white. They are different.
No, they're admixed now, and more